Hey babies, hey babies, hey babies, hey babies. Hi everyone. Hi everyone. Best team ever, everyone. Hi everyone. Hi everyone.
Whoa. Watch throwing the hand up like that. I'm just saying.
Trust me. I, of all people, didn't mean it that way. Wow. What a win. Wow. This is a very serious operation. I'm gonna get into that in a little bit. It was funny afterwards. A couple people I work with, I won't say who, said, I was a little worried about this one, and I've turned that corner, Callow. I wasn't and it just was mainly, and I say this all the time, it's not who you play, it's when you play them. That team was missing too many people. And, we got serious operation going on around here. And I kind of knew we were going to win. It was all about how much, which is there's a corner turned when you sit there and you go, no, this year and this team is one of those teams that actually doesn't lose games like this. It would take a set of events that would be really crazy for them to lose. And it would start with the injury that they got, and it would end with a lot of unusual bounces of the ball, weird turnovers, all that stuff, because I don't want to, kill Carolina here, but they came in when Anish Shroff, who I met up with before the game, told me, he said, go look at our defense, who we have available. And he said, you will see that half of the players that are available to them today are either undrafted free agents or 7th round picks, including the entire defensive line. I went, oh, this isn't going to be pretty. And it wasn't. And that's when you catch a team like this, not unlike how Denver caught New Orleans on Thursday, like the way they were. If you're a good team, you win these games going away. It's not really an indictment of Carolina. It's they had what they had, but this is where, sorry, welcome to the NFL. Our team's healthy and yours isn't. We're going to kill you. And that's what happened. So this is just another sign of, I went into it going, how are they going to handle coming off a loss? I'm now, well, we're a serious operation. And when we play teams that are dinged up like that, we're going to kill them. And that was a really good sign yesterday.
I think I said this to you on Friday on either one of our shows that I wasn't concerned about this game. It was, let's prove this is a serious operation. As in, I had faith that this group was going to make sure they were ready to go against this team. I think, though, that gets thrown out the window when Jayden only plays one drive and they still drop 33 points. I don't care who you are in the NFL. When your backup quarterback comes in, the operation isn't supposed to be that good. Let's just call it that. And so I think the fact that they had a backup quarterback in there, by the way, Mariota had been injured for a while too. I know he came back weeks ago, but the fact that he came in and they didn't miss a beat. And in fact, he looked pretty good once he settled in. He had to warm up a little bit there, but I think that's what I'm most impressed about because Jayden was already on fire on that one drive. And honestly, there was a business decision there of we probably don't need you is what my guess was going to be. But what I'm getting at.
I don't know yet. Yeah, okay, I don't know yet.
But what I'm getting at in the overall here is the backup quarterback came in and they scored 30 points. That hasn't happened here with the starting quarterback for a long time. That's what I was most impressed about yesterday.
Yeah, I think because they do this every week, the historic numbers. That's a good one that I'll send down there. When was the last time they scored 33 points on offense after the starting quarterback went out? And it might be 1942, whatever stupid date they're going to come up with this week. That didn't make the list of historic stats. This started with all these kind of very unusual things that were happening. I described it as we're rewriting history. Our quarterback is having the best, hopefully it doesn't get derailed a little bit here, but the best the best rookie season any rookie quarterback's ever had. These are full on insane. It probably hasn't changed because he was 2 for 2, but he was leading the NFL in completion percentage coming into the game. The last time a rookie quarterback did that for a full season was 1939 for a guy named Parker Hall, who probably threw 5 passes a game, like it's definitely not going to be 40, like it's probably 5, probably ran a triple option, through 5 passes a game, and all of them, the air yardage was 2, it's absurd what he's doing. And then they had their moment in Cincinnati, kind of woke everybody up. And we all said, what are they going to do off of a win? And now everybody's paying attention, and the schedule was terrible. And it was the Arizona game that got it for me. I went, oh, man. When they turned around, had that week, played their best game by far, defensively and offensively. And I went, oh, my God, this is on now. Now we're asking for lasting power. And I think we're all still in the disbelief phase. This can't be us, right? We don't do this, right? So that's why, off the loss, while I was sitting there going, I want to see how they handle coming off a loss, I really wasn't concerned because I saw how they acted in the locker room after the Ravens game. I saw how they acted the entire week. They don't talk about other people. They talk about themselves. It's all they talk about. They are literally in this bubble that you pray for with your teams that they have, and they have it. And it is only 5-2. And without Jayden, they're going to have a hard time next week against Chicago for sure. I don't know what his situation is, but this is a very serious operation. And if you needed to have any other proof of it, don't tell me Carolina just stinks. We lost our starting quarterback after the opening drive, and it was only 10-0 at that point. And the backup quarterback came in, and it took him a series or two, and suddenly he's chucking the ball all over the field, and they're running for 180, 190 yards, whatever it is. They were unstoppable yesterday. And it's just another sign of, I don't know how this happened. I don't know why this happened, but it did. So get used to it, because I was trying to find a comp to it last night. And the only one I could come up with in recent history was the Greatest Show on Turf Rams, where they were actually 4-12 the year before they went to the Super Bowl. And then, Trent Green gets hurt. Kurt Warner comes in, and they had one of the best offensive seasons ever. And I can't imagine, London played on those teams. That's why I want to talk to him specifically about this. Did you know that this was going to happen? Because that's what this feels like a little bit to me, where it's so out of nowhere and it caught everybody off guard that nobody knows what to make of it up till now. But this was just another chapter of, I don't know how this happened, but it did. And we're here now.
No. And what's funny is I keep doing a callback to 2005 because that was the last year they won a playoff game. And now they're 3-0 at home for the first time since 2005. And you covered that team. But yesterday reminded me of a moment in that season. They had to play the Giants late. Remember, it was a home game late at then FedEx Field. And remember, Mark Brunell got hurt and Patrick Ramsey had to come in for a half. And he threw 2 touchdowns. And it was we hadn't seen that dude the whole entire year. And they had drafted Jason Campbell. And he comes in and he steps in and the offense didn't miss a beat and they win a game at home. These are the moments that stack up, and the magical seasons here is when you get the backup quarterback coming in. Yeah, when we get the backup quarterback coming in, they don't miss a beat. Then it's the fourth quarter yesterday, and they throw 4 straight passes when they're up by 30 points. They're throwing it deep to Terry. That's Cliff in his bag going, we're all feeling it here. I'm not going to, put the brakes on here. And also, I kind of understood it. You're going to get Mariota the reps, so you want him to run the offense. But those are the moments that stack up during a season where you look back and go, oh, yeah, remember that happened. That's what yesterday was to me.
I think my favorite part yesterday was it's 20-0. It's the end of the first half. They punt. It's a good punt. It starts at the 8-yard line, okay? Washington runs a play and lets it get to the 2-minute warning. Okay. It's second and whatever. They run another play. It's 3rd and short, but Carolina's not, they got 3 timeouts. They're not using any of them. And I'm perplexed because you just get one stop. You get the ball. You give yourself a chance at the end of the half, but they quit. They thought that Washington was just going to run the clock out, and they were okay with that. That's a little on them to think that way. And then they got a first down, and then they just kind of said, F it, and just started going down the field and walked down the field. And them Carolina almost was acting like, hey, I thought we had a gentleman's agreement about this one. Y'all were just going to sit on the ball, and we were going to, no. And they walked down the field, and Mariota finds Ertz with 10 seconds left in the half. And I'm sitting there going, oh, man, that's almost too much. That's too much. they just toyed with this team who really couldn't wait to get to the locker room. But that was my particular favorite moment. And when it was 26-0, I was sitting there going, go for 2 to make it 28. So we have 28-0 at half on Darrell Green's day. I'm like, let's do that today.
No, I mean, come on, can't do that. But
I mean, they kicked a field goal late to not run up the score on them.
Well, that was
they had a 4th and 1. They go for all of those this year. They didn't yesterday because, and I said on the air, I said, I don't think they want to run up the score. I think that's why they're kicking a field goal here, because I looked at London and I go, when was the last 4th and short they didn't go for? That was in 2023. Like, so they actually hit the brakes on these guys a little bit, but that one at the end of the half, that was unbelievable. They were in no rush. Carolina wasn't going to stop the clock. And then they just went, you know what? If you guys don't care to try to stop us, watch this, and walk down the field.
Well, on that late 4th quarter one, too, that was more funny, too, because the crowd started booing. They wanted him to go for it.
They wanted him to go for it.
The crowd even turned on it a little bit, like, let's do this. So, yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like, you had to pick your spots, but, you know, the fact they didn't go for 2 there, I'm okay with. I think they were full control.
I mean, hey, I'm just saying, I looked up and I saw it could be 28-0 at half. I'm like, that's almost too fitting to go into Darrell Green's day. But anyway, all right. This one was not a surprise at all. Washington's run the ball extraordinarily well this year. Brian Robinson was back. And this was the thing that gave me the uber confidence. There was no way this was not going to go their way yesterday. If you watched Carolina's defense, I mean, I actually feel bad for them. They've lost so many players. Like, it's impossible to be competitive. They lost Derek Brown in week 1. Derek Brown broke an NFL record a year ago for tackles by a defensive lineman, so he's out. They were missing all 3 starting linebackers. They were missing people out of the secondary. They had like 7 starters down. They had others on offense too. They were missing their right tackle. They were missing one of their best tight ends. Like, I haven't seen a team this beat up, especially on one side of the ball like that in a while, which is why, like, I'm not surprised by this. Because if you had watched the last few weeks, the Bears, Atlanta, like, and those are, you know, Atlanta's a really good run team. They were pushing these guys 3, 4, 5 yards down the field before contact for the running back. So I was very confident that B-Rob and everyone else can have a huge day. And again, they were close to 200 again. So that was the biggest non-surprise of the whole thing, that Washington would dominate in the run game yesterday.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised one bit here. And this kind of was with me with B-Rob as it was with the Browns game. As soon as he was ruled in on Saturday night, I kind of had called game. I mean, as soon as that guy walks in, that run game, that offense, everyone starts feeling it. And it was nice to see in the 4th quarter, they didn't 3rd and 4th quarter, they didn't rely on him heavily, but when he did come in, it was still 5 yards a clip with that dude.
Yes.
He's almost unstoppable in the second half if he gets going. But also, same thing. What I've loved this whole season is that it doesn't matter who's back there at running back, whether it's McNichols or Eckler. They all 3 looked very good yesterday, and that's what I've loved this entire season. Is it doesn't really matter who's back there, but when Robinson's back there, you better be afraid, and that's basically what happened in the second half.
McNichols came in averaging 6.8 per carry.
That's stupid.
It is. He's their 3rd running back. Like, it is. You know, I remember this summer we're like, I don't know if their line's very good. Okay, I guess they are.
Right.
Like, they have certainly answered some questions. I got to tell you, like, this goes back to what I was talking about last week. Guys, we're in a magic season here. Like, I think Adam Peters knows this. Like, I will continue to push to make the case that I'd not do anything crazy, but like, I think they should be buyers at the deadline. These opportunities don't just always come up. They're in the middle of a season where they are so locked in with one another. I haven't seen a locker room like this in a while. They have this incredible mesh of extremely talented players, specifically at quarterback, and a group of veterans that just know how to play and are totally bought into all of this. So I'll just continue to push this. I mean, especially after this yesterday, their starting quarterback goes out. They don't miss a beat. They win going away anyway. Like, I think this team deserves the opportunity to try to win, and they do need a little bit of help. And there are teams that are going to be selling off. I'm looking at Cleveland, potentially Carolina, for that matter. Like, I don't know. Maybe there's a player or two in that secondary that you like, that you think, J.C. Horn, that could make you better. Like, I don't know. So I think we're at the point now where this has to be seriously considered, because I know it's unusual. I know it's unprecedented, and I know it doesn't feel like this should be happening, but it is. And, I cited the example of the Rams in, 99, 2000, whatever it was. They came out of nowhere. It all came together. They had this ridiculous offense, and they got to the Super Bowl. Like, I don't know. Look around the NFC. Like, are you scared of San Francisco right now? Like, after watching what they've done, like, and they're supposedly a contender. I think the NFC North looks really good. We're going to see one of them this weekend in our division. We'll talk about Philly in a bit, because that was a really good performance for them that was really, really needed and really necessary for them. But that's feeling like, I don't know, it might end up being a 2-team race between us and them to get to the division title. And in the NFC South, are you really scared of any of them outside of really Tampa, especially after you saw what Atlanta did and what New Orleans did? The road's kind of open here. Like, it just is. And, I don't care that this is new and we're looking at the future anyway. You just don't get opportunities like this all the time. And I really think that they kind of owe it to this locker room to reward them by getting them help and give them a shot, because they have one. It's so clear as day they have a shot here.
I think the other side of this too, and we touched on it a little bit last week, was the compensation shouldn't be crazy for a piece that would help you as well. Like, look at Adams and Cooper. They both went for 3rd-round picks and some change being exchanged, essentially. If you're looking to get a corner that is a rental or has 1 year left on their deal, it shouldn't cost you anything more than that. And we would be talking about a legitimate name, by the way, if it was a 3rd-round pick,
Greg
right?
Newsom, JC Horn, I don't know. I don't know. But those are these are the teams that their seasons are kind of going the wrong way. Cleveland might get better without Deshaun, but we'll actually see about that. But they're going the wrong way.
Yeah.
There's probably others I'm not thinking of that, like, they have to think about these things. I don't know. Like, I think the case is being made day by day by day that, like, guys, we're in the middle. I don't know why this happened. I know we're all still getting used to it, but it's right in front of you. And, like, just believe your eyes. Like, this is good for a reason. I don't know how they are like, they're sorcerers. I don't know how they did this, but it is totally working. Everyone's totally bought in. They're boat racing people. It's 3 of 4 now that they're boat racing people. Don't tell me it's just Arizona, Cleveland, Carolina stink. Like, you might be right in the end about a couple of them. These are NFL games. This does not happen often. Okay. Even the Chiefs don't do this that often. Like, so, like, buy in. And I think they know this. And I think they're going to be buyers. Like, I think they're going to be looking for something. And I think they're going to be looking for help and I'm with everybody on at the right price. But there's just too many examples of this team right now has got something going on that doesn't come around every single year. Don't take it for granted. Go for it. That's the way I feel about it.
This also reminds me a little bit of that first year with Ron, right? When they went 7-9, and all we said after that season was, you need a quarterback, right? But you only need a quarterback that's incrementally better so the defense can kind of get closer to it, right? That's what we were kind of begging for after, and that, of course, never really came to fruition. I look at it as the flip side, though, this season. This offense is amazing. It doesn't seem to matter who's in the offense. Literally, doesn't matter who's in it. And that they keep dominating. I think we're now asking, get the defense incrementally better to get 1 or 2 more stops a game. And all of a sudden you're cooking with gas. And then in the playoffs, that's when it really matters. When you get that 1 to 2 more stops a game, all of a sudden the offense is cooking a little bit more. I'm with you. They only need a little bit more, I think.
That's right.
The offense is so good.
To give them a chance. I mean, like, that's like Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner, Dante Fowler, like, all these guys that just showed up here, and people were just like, yeah, older players, whatever. This isn't a charity to them. They're bought in. They're playing the way they're playing alongside this other group. They just have something really special going on. And so I feel like it's owed to them to give them a shot to win. And so I have a feeling they're going to do something, or at least try to. I think they're going to try to do something. The other thing I really appreciate about this is they really don't hear the ghosts of the past. And trust me, like, the media and everybody around here, come on, if you're living in our ecosystem, there is still some level of disbelief. And the ghosts of the past are the recent past, where everybody's like, the question a couple of weeks ago, when's the other shoe going to drop? And I remember, like, when the reporter from the Times asked that, I went, it's a really good question, because he knows the pulse of how everybody's feeling about it. And Dan Quinn kind of looked perplexed at him, almost like, guy, I wasn't here. None of us were here. This is all new. Can't you just enjoy this? And the reality is it's taken a few weeks to enjoy it, and I think because most people who've lived the last quarter century specifically can't believe this is happening, because even when there were these good moments, it always fell off. I don't feel it here. I've said this for a couple of weeks. We're in a new normal. And that's also why, you don't know how any one season's going to go. And that's why, because this is happening now, even though it's hard to believe, and even though, I have kind of took a couple of weeks to really come around to it, but I know good when I see it. I know chemistry when I see it. I know a team that's, tied together when I see it. You had it with the Capitals not that long ago, where you just kind of knew, the Nationals had it a few years ago. You just kind of knew. It was just going in a way that you just kind of knew. This is why everybody yelled at the Orioles the last couple of years. They had this opportunity. They didn't make them better. I don't think Peters and Newmark are going to make this mistake, or Quinn. I think that they want to win so bad. They also don't care if this isn't on anyone else's timeline. And that's why I think they don't listen to the ghosts of the recent past. They don't pretend that, all the bad things that happened in the past are going to happen to them too. And they're in this bubble where there's a belief that is hard to describe, but it is clearly there. After that Ravens game, the first thing I said to you is, I really liked what I heard out of that locker room. They felt like they should have played better and won. And I walked out of that going, I thought it was kind of lopsided. And then I rewatched it, and it was on one side of the ball and it wasn't on the other. And they knew, and they turned around and gave you this to prove it.
I think if there's kind of one thing to be said, I think you heard me say it after the Cardinals game, where I was already banging the drum for fans. Enjoy this, sit back and start to enjoy this right now. Don't be cautiously optimistic. The way things are going, this is fun to watch. This isn't a fluke. We talked about it. We talked about it here too, where I think that Giants game was kind of indicative of what the fan base was feeling, where everyone's going, oh my God, they didn't score a touchdown. And you and I were sitting here going, they score 1 to 2 touchdowns. It's a blowout, that game is. And we were right. All they needed to do was score 1 or 2 more times, and it would have been a boat race. And that's basically what it's been since, besides the Ravens game, essentially. The fact of the matter is that it's hard to blow out teams in this league, and they're doing it left and right. I think that's the craziest part about it. They're not just winning these 23-20 games, these 28-27 games. Go look at the Chiefs. They're 6-0. They're undefeated. But every single game, except yesterday, was a one-possession game where a big play had to happen for them to win those games. I'm not taking that away from them, but this team is playing teams that they normally wouldn't blow out regardless, is what I'm getting at here. And it's such a fast turnaround, I think, is what's so ridiculous about it.
Yeah, last thing, I didn't talk a lot about this, but because I don't know what Jayden's health is, and at the time that we're taping this, and if you hear this on the podcast, you'll probably know what it is, but at the time that we're doing this, I don't. I got no update last night. He suffered a rib injury. So I know what everybody knows. If there's broken ribs, he's probably going to miss some time. If it's not, then, all the, pseudo doctors in my life have told me he can play if, and it'll be a pain tolerance thing, and it'll be a medication thing, and it'll be a flak jacket thing, and all of that stuff. And it may, give Cliff some pause about how much they run him, in the next couple of weeks. So that may change how they view their offense if he plays. But I haven't talked much about it, because clearly, to have all these, discussions about what the future is, he's got to be healthy. And I just don't know what it is today. So I'll wait and see, and probably talk a lot more about it tomorrow.
Yeah, and I would say this too. I mean, I don't like to be the Twitter doctors like everyone else, but it's a good indication when he's out there in the second half, cheering his teammates on. They score a touchdown, and he puts his hands up in the air, and there's no wincing of pain or anything like that. I get it. It's not that
clip got so much run. Everybody was like, he put his arms up. He's good.
I mean, it's true though. Rib injuries suck. You wouldn't move your arms and shoulders that much. So I will say this. The fact that there wasn't even a pause from him on doing that makes me feel pretty good. And, like I said, though, I'm not trying to be a Twitter doctor here. I would have to think it's not. I would think, let's just call it this. It's not the worst case scenario of a bunch of broken ribs, right? He wouldn't have come out there. He wouldn't have been throwing his arms up if it was the worst case scenario, and it's not. So we can at least rule that out, I think, is what I'm getting at.
All right, let me take a quick break. We'll go through the rest of week 7 next. Bray Watch the show, ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. All right, welcome back. Let's see. What do we got? London got the clunker. Jags rolled the Patriots. Their defense just isn't playing the way I think it's capable of because their offense can't score a lot of points. That's just human nature happening there. And I kind of put this in the same category. Seahawks roll Falcons. And the reason why is because I think they fall into the category like the Jaguars. Either one of them could actually be pretty good, relatively dangerous, and win a playoff game because they're all capable of it. But I don't believe any of them actually go to the Super Bowl. So, so Seahawks rolling Atlanta says a lot more about Atlanta to me than it really does about Seattle, actually, like that they let that happen. West Coast team, East Coast, kill them. Like that says a lot more really about Atlanta to me than it does about Seattle. So I put the Jaguars, the Seahawks, and the Falcons all in the same boat. If any or all of them are in the playoffs, it actually wouldn't surprise me, and I wouldn't believe in any of them to get to the Super Bowl.
The Jags one, I think, was more about the Patriots. They're just not that good. Plus, the Jags have been there for 2 weeks. You always have to kind of factor that in. With the Seahawks, though, I think this one was more shocking because the Falcons have been in one-possession games all season long. So, I thought this would just be kind of more of the same. Close game. Kirk gets them the win at the end, whatever. But the fact that they rolled them in Atlanta was a little bit of a shock here. It's funny. This NFC South, I think we keep seeing glimpses of the Falcons and the Buccaneers being, NFC championship contenders, but they keep having these setbacks where I don't know if I believe in them now. You have the Bucs losing at home to the Broncos. You have the Falcons getting blown out by the Seahawks. This division is kind of weird. You can't trust any of them. You can't trust any of them, actually.
Yeah. I've called them window dressing until proven otherwise. And then this is another, they got a lot of flashy parts on that team. And Kirk is capable of 500-yard games a couple times a year, and then they win. But I don't buy them, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And this is another one when you look at Washington's schedule, I kind of want Atlanta and New Orleans to fall off the cliff by the time Washington plays them. They play them both in December. So the schedule here again, too, it's another reason why I really like what Washington has going for it. The schedule reads like they could stack up a lot of wins here. They have another home game this week. Then they get the Giants and they get 2 more home games again. They don't have a bye week till late, which, dependent on injuries. Let's see how that kind of plays. Then they had this December New Orleans game. Well, let's see what their record is, by the time we play them. Then they get this December Atlanta game that's second to last regular season game of the season. It's the last home game. Well, let's see what their record is, so the schedule keeps kind of churning in a way. They've got this late November, early December Tennessee game here. It's kind of leading you to believe that this is a double-digit win team. And the Falcons, I think, kind of showed their true colors a little bit. I think you're going to get a lot of this up and down. Kirk has these big games. They might win. Kirk doesn't. They clearly aren't that good. So we'll see how that is moving forward. Let's see. All of these were kind of chalk. Bills beat Tennessee at home, albeit took a big second half to do it. Bengals beat the Browns. The Bengals, again, don't look impressive doing it, but they're more, I'll buy them to fix it and get to the playoffs in the end. And no one's buying the Browns this year, albeit with Deshaun's injury. They might be better off offensively. Their fans may want them to tank at this point, and they may not end up doing that because Deshaun's not playing anymore. So we'll see how that goes. And the Rams beat the Raiders, and the Raiders are really weird. The only thing that's good that's happened to them, I think, is Tom Brady's an owner now because they just traded Devontae Adams. They clearly aren't very good. They don't have a quarterback. So all 3 of those fall into the category of chalk yesterday for me.
No, exactly. And the Bills, for some reason, they like to have these close games at half at home, then boat race people. Remember they did this with the Cardinals in week 1. So they do it again yesterday. Not surprised with the Titans. The Titans, by the way, not going with Will Levis, didn't look much better with Mason Rudolph starting as well. So they're back to the drawing board when it comes to quarterback, as far as I'm concerned. Bengals, Browns, same thing, chalk. And then, the Rams, they're just a more talented team when it comes to the Raiders. I don't know what the Raiders do, by the way. That's a mess top to bottom for them.
It is a mess. Let's see. Green Bay outlasts Houston yesterday, and what was 2 teams I think will be in the playoffs. I think I'd said before the season, it's them or Detroit, Green Bay or Detroit in the NFC to me. And I don't want to go too far with Washington, but I mean, they're playing so well. It's hard not to include them in conversations like that at this point. But Green Bay gets a win that looks really close. And then I saw CJ Stroud's numbers, 10 of 21, 86 yards. What is that? Like 10 of 21, 86 yards. Like, is that Green Bay's defense? Was that him yesterday? Because I didn't obviously see a ton of it, but that's not a very good number. And this also, I totally buy Green Bay. I think it's going to be them and Detroit in the end in the NFC, assuming health. I think Detroit's just kind of primed and ready. The Hutchinson injury would give me a little bit of pause for it. But Green Bay came on so hard at the end of last year. Jordan Love got hurt early this year, so they were a little wonky coming along. Now he's turned around. I thought he would ascend to a top 10, top 5 quarterback. That seems to be trending that way. And their defense is underrated, and it's good. 10 of 21, 86 yards. That ought to tell you where this is going. Like, Green Bay is a serious contender in the NFC.
There's a big factor here, though. Houston didn't have Tank Dell. I watched the game yesterday. So they didn't have their number one wide receiver, which meant Jair Alexander was on Diggs the whole time. That's what happened. Like, they didn't have much outside of that. They were really locking in. Diggs only had like 20 yards, I think, yesterday. So Alexander won that day, essentially. I watched this game from start to finish. And Green Bay's defense was good, not great. It was more, I think the Texans were just shorthanded. So I would say don't give them a mulligan here. But the fact that score was that close without their number one wide receiver, with Diggs only with 20 yards, with Stroud's numbers, looking at that, they also ran the ball pretty well against that defense. I'm just saying it was close. It took a last-second drive for Love to win that game. It was a good game. Like, it was still two very good teams going up against each other.
I mean, the way it's going right now, they could end up playing each other in the Super Bowl. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Possible.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chiefs are, I don't know. We'll see in December. I think the scary part is they're undefeated.
Yes.
And yet they haven't played really, really well yet. That's the scary part with them. And Buffalo seems to be able to turn it back on again. And the Jets are done. And we'll get to them in a second. Let's see. Wunderkin's offense has disappeared. So Miami loses to the Colts. They score 10 points. And I know, like, Tua's not playing. Yeah, I'll hear you. I don't know. Our backup quarterback came in yesterday, and we scored 33 with him. And I thought that this was kind of the too good to fail. They got the magic sauce. They run a crazy offense. Last time I checked, all those speed players, Hill, Waddle, Achane, Mostert, they all still there, but now they can't do nothing. Nothing. Zero.
This our franchise in Washington is famous for getting coaches fired when they beat other teams. I don't think that's the case anymore, but I do think there's a case yesterday of that Miami owner looking at this team going, wait, how did they score 30 points with their backup and you can't score 10 or more than 10 against all these other teams? And not only that, they're not like good teams either. It's the Colts. It was the Titans a few weeks back on Monday night. Like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm with you.
Yeah, the opener was the Jags, and they barely won that when Tua was still healthy and they weren't moving the ball. And I looked at him and I went, uh-oh.
Right.
Something's not right. Like, something's a little off with the transmission this year.
Correct. So, like, I'm saying, like, this team, do they get someone fired by not even playing them? I feel like we're going up that path.
Yeah, we'll see. I actually think McDaniel would get another job the next day. I think he's innovative. He clearly has this crazy work ethic, and he seems to have this kind of weird, dorky-ish, but weird vibe with the players where they like him. So I think he'd get hired again in a second to be a head coach again. Let's see. What should have been game of the day kind of turned out that way. The Vikes did get their kneecaps bit, so they get their first loss. Detroit hangs on, had a big lead, watched it evaporate late, then scored late to win. So again, this is another example of, I think Minnesota's in the same boat with Washington, where I think we kind of look at it and we go, I kind of can't believe this is happening, but it is. And even in a loss, I would assume that they're looking at this going, okay. I mean, we are in the upside down right now where we're like, you know what? Losing to Detroit at home is a good loss. We're a little bit in the upside down right now.
Not only that, this is one of those games, too, where if I'm the Vikings and their fans, and I know it's a division rival, so it's harder to look at it, I look at this game kind of like you looked at the Commanders losing to the Ravens last week. This was a very close game. The defense got a score to take the lead, and then it took the Lions having a last-second field goal to win. This is one of those games that's tough to swallow because you're playing your division rival, but you look at it and go, we just went toe-to-toe with who everyone thinks is going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl at this point, or one of the NFC representatives in the Super Bowl, and the defense stacked up very well against a good offense. you have to come out of that one feeling good, even though it was a division rival.
Yeah. So let's see. This is my favorite headline of the day. Hard knock for Dabs and Shane as the Giants, as the Giants get destroyed at home by the Eagles. And Saquon Barkley has 175 yards rushing against them. And, all I just keep seeing, and they should just keep playing it on Giants Twitter, is the clip of the Mara son going, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep if Saquon goes to Philadelphia. And I'm going to go with, he didn't sleep very well the night before the game, and he's really not sleeping very well tonight. This goes back to one of the most insane, makes no sense, I don't get what you're doing decisions by anybody. It's not like Saquon Barkley was going to make what Daniel Jones is making. He is your best player. He should be in your Ring of Fame. He might be a Hall of Fame player. Why don't you want him over $500,000? It doesn't make any sense. And so this is one of those, you get what you deserve, guys. You really do. You ran out this guy over a nothing amount of money. He just wanted to be there and play with you. You guys haven't done jack nothing in his career, and he still wanted to be there. You know what? I'm going to put the line down on $12 million a year and not 12.5. That's it. We won't do it. I'm actually not that I'm rooting for either one of them, but I was rooting for him to do what he did yesterday to kind of show them you don't do things like this with your best players. This guy, we just retired Gerald Green's number. That guy is on a career where you might retire his number. And they said, you know what? We don't want to spend that much. I'm actually surprised now that the Maras didn't step in and go, you're not doing that. We'll take this negotiation over, guys.
I think it was Jason Kelsey who finally fired off on Twitter against the Giants fans, who was like, why are you guys booing him? Your front office is the one that botched this.
Correct.
He wanted to be there. He said all of the right things.
It's all documented.
Yeah.
We saw what they said to him about it. Saquon, you hear him say, I want to stay.
Right. And so he finally sounded off, obviously defending the Eagles, as he should. But he was just like, calm down, essentially. It wasn't his fault. He wanted to be there. Blame the ownership, blame the GM. And yeah, you saw it yesterday. Not only that, you saw some angry runs from Saquon yesterday too, where he was just trucking dudes. He should have been down a few times, then took a few dudes with him. Yeah, he was running possessed yesterday.
This happened with us with B. Mitch. There was a stupid line in the sand with him. He ended up going to play for Philly in New York, and played his butt off when he played us. No kidding, you're going to get this. It just, they got what they deserved. I want to see Philly go the wrong way because I think for our future, it's better that way because I don't trust that the Giants can be good enough to really contend. But for a day, this is one of those karmic, you're owed this, and the Giants got it, and it's going to get Shane fired. Yeah. It is. In the end, their team is not very good. They're going to have a bad record again. Their best player is running for 175 yards on them, and they can't really explain it.
Well, and the other side of this too is this draft, when it comes to the quarterbacks, is looking to be the opposite of the one in, I think, 2021 or 2022, where it was Trevor, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Mac Jones. Remember, it was like, Ron, just trade up and get one of them. Well, none of them ended up being good. Well, we're on the fast track now for this season of Caleb's good, Jayden's amazing. Drake May, just say what you want about the Patriots. He's looked okay in his first two starts. We'll see. But for a guy that needed to develop, he's looked pretty good. They're going to get mad at him because they're going to go, had you traded up for any of them, we'd be in a better situation now. And you didn't. And then you let Jones know, essentially, you were trying to replace him the whole time, too.
I would make the case that the Patriots made a mistake and should have traded that pick. They should have gone down to the Giants, gotten an extra first round pick, taken Penix or McCarthy, or not. I would argue that where they are. Let's see. Pat Mahomes and Brock Purdy both had bad games. Chiefs win over the 49ers. Purdy had 3 interceptions. Mahomes had 160 yards passing and 2 picks. That's a weird one. Weird Super Bowl rematch, guys. Weird one.
Mahomes has more picks than touchdowns, and it's going to be week 7. I mean, that's pretty.
And they're undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous there. I don't know what's going on, but as you said too, it's scary. They're undefeated because he could turn it around literally in a week, and
That's right.
We're going to be like, oh crap, now they're operational. Yeah. Like they could go undefeated.
When the Death Star is operational again, like that's when things get ugly. That's why I think the Chiefs fans are probably like, yeah, we've been here before. It starts slow, and then December rolls around and we start killing people.
Right.
And then we do Ring Around the Rosie and make fun of you while we beat you. For the 49ers, I don't know. This is starting to get to the point where I'm not sure that I buy they're going to turn around and be a juggernaut again. I was saying this for weeks. I'm like, I don't see any juggernauts in the NFC, them included. So I don't know. Like that division, because the Rams aren't killing anybody, and because I don't buy Arizona's going to win enough to win it, seems like it's still kind of there for them if Seattle doesn't go on some kind of run. But we'll see. All right, and then last one is a Steelers country. Let's ride, baby. I was on board with this is the right thing to do the way Fields has gone the last couple of weeks, that I think you have to put Russ out there and find out what you got and see who runs the offense better. I have a feeling both will play again before the end of the year. I think if Russ gets kind of the number one gig, that they'll find a way to get Fields on the field, because it'd be silly to leave him on the sideline and not run some kind of whatever offense when he runs in for a series or two a game. I don't know why you wouldn't. And so that worked out for them. And for the Jets, I'm not surprised. I think I said this on Friday. I go, they're a better team. They got a better offense, but I don't trust them. All the things that they've done, it's just going to careen the wrong way. When they play serious operations like this, you'll see. And you saw.
I think I said this with the Jets. We've lived the Jets many times before, of the desperation trades, of the signings of guys. We've lived this. So we kind of knew what was happening with the Jets. On the Steelers side, I'm going to pat myself on the back here. Tirico and Collinsworth basically said when they sat down with Tomlin before the game, Tomlin said, I need to see which quarterback gives me the best chance to win a Super Bowl. I called that on Friday, that this is what this is. It's not an indictment on Justin Fields. It's can I get more out of the offense with Russ? I think it's arguable because some of those passes by Russ were a little ridiculous last night with one-handed catches and floating them over their head. But when he kind of got the offense going, it did look different than when Fields was running it. I was kind of with them, though, where even Tirico and Collinsworth mentioned it. If Russ struggles in the red zone, why not put Fields there? And so maybe that happens. Yes. But I'm with you. Like we were talking about it on Friday. I think this is the right call. I think you need to see what you have in him, because you've already seen what you got with Fields. You've got to weigh the options. Yeah. And they had no problem last night.
They'll make a choice of who it is for the run in December. And clearly they're going to be right in the middle of the playoff hunt. Yep. So, all right, we'll see. All right, let me take a quick break. Brad, what's the show? He's at 6:30, the Sports Capital. All right, welcome back. Over the weekend, how about the Caps getting 6 in a win over the Devils? Red hot here to start the season. 3 wins in a row since the opening night loss, where I'm with Carberry on that. That was a little unfair. The Devils had played a couple times. Caps didn't play at all. And now that they got some gas in the tank, Caps are off to a good start this year.
Not only that, our new host at Caps Radio, Katie Florio, she made a pretty good kind of comparison for that first game. I think people kind of forgot. It was the whole 50th anniversary celebration too. Like it wasn't just a first game the Devils have been playing. Remember, that was like a whole celebration. You had like the concert event on Thursday, the alumni game on Friday, then the big game on Saturday. That weekend and that week actually ended up being kind of this kind of pomp and circumstance filled first game. And they looked like the team that hadn't played. Now, 3 games later, they beat undefeated Dallas, undefeated Vegas. They go up to New Jersey and eke out one in overtime. This team actually is together faster than I thought they would. Yes, no one wants to see 5 goals being scored, but it was a road game. And they've been really impressive in these little moments. If you remember last year, you watched enough Caps games where either they would score and the other team would go right back down the ice and respond to them. It happened a lot last year. Or they would score the other team and they would score again on the Caps. And it was like, it would get ugly fast. The Caps response this season has been unbelievable. Every time the other team has scored, they turn right back around and get another scoring chance or score themselves, or they stop a scoring chance the other way. These are the early signs of things that you need in the playoffs, where they have a really good response and the defense core has been really good to lock down late in games as well. I really like what I've seen through 4 games.
Let's see. Spirit are now a win away from the 2 seed. Things got real tight here at the end of the season, and even with all the injuries that Washington have gotten some wins, and they got one yesterday. I wish they would stop playing at exactly the same time the Commanders play, but so be it.
Yeah.
They get a win here against Chicago, and they get the 2 seed. They have their regular season finale is not this weekend; it's following weekend. And if they win that, they'll be the 2 seed entering the playoffs. At worst, they could still be the 4 seed. That's a possibility with a loss if the teams below them win or in one case just get a draw. So there is stuff on the line for them, but they're hanging in there with a lot of injuries and got a couple of really good wins the last couple of weeks.
No, and last night, I'm forgetting who scored last night. Their last rookie scored last night, and so they've had 6 of 6 rookies score. It's been an amazing rookie class for them as well, that all of their young players have stepped up and ended up scoring. And last night, by the way, while the Commanders were playing, 17,000 at Audi Field yesterday. I mean, like that's damn impressive. I don't care how you feel.
Nate Silver.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Eat it, Nate.
Shut your face, Nate Silver.
Eat it.
Eat it. Let's see, real quick. Don't care. Cards, Chargers tonight. Who's got it better than us? Everybody, because there's an alternative game to this, and I'm not forced to watch just this one because it's a good one. Ravens and the Bucks have a showdown tonight. This could be a Super Bowl preview, frankly. Like, having seen them both in person, and the only 2 teams to beat Washington, and and we've basically roasted everybody else that we played. I guess they're pretty good. I expect a high-scoring game. I don't know anybody who can stop the Ravens' run game, but with Vita Vea out there, I'll give the Buccaneers half a shot to at least slow it down a little bit. I don't love them on defense. I think they're too hyper-aggressive. I don't think that's the fad these days. I think the Ravens will take advantage of it. But Tampa Bay could score. They are a very well put-together offense, and the Ravens' defense is susceptible still, specifically to the pass. So I don't think this is a very good matchup for them either. This toss-up to me, I actually think this is going to be a very good, relatively high-scoring game. 1st to 30 probably wins here. It's going to be a good one tonight.
NFC South, it was originally the Saints who I don't trust. Now I don't trust the whole division. Give me the Ravens like 31-20. I just think they win this one. I don't trust the NFC South anymore. I
think the Ravens could give up some big plays on the back end that could keep Tampa in this. I think it's going to be 1st to 30 tonight. It's going to get a win. All right. Talk to you tomorrow. Bram and Callow, ESPN 630, the Sports Capital.